Greetings, hi. Okay, so this blur right here is because of my lights. I don't know what that is with this. It's just like the blur. It's like a glur, and it looks really weird. So anyway, I do apologize for the glare that's in the light. Greetings, salutations. I hope everyone is doing fine and great and wonderful, and your life is all good, and you're happy, and you smell good, and you look good, you feel good, and you know you're good, and I don't know, hope your family good. I know some of y'all celebrate this holiday coming up tomorrow, but you know, cool to you too if you do. I like the fact that my husband is off and I can be with him, so that's pretty much what it is. But anyway, greetings. The Sage is on sale. Go pick it up on ask314life.com and come get some of my candles. I'm using this is the one I'm using, this of course. That's why it's lit on this side, because I'm actually lighting it. I don't want to mess up my nails. But anyway, I use the candles, and of course I sell crystals, the clusters. I sell pendulums. This is one of my personal pendulums that I'm created. Um, and just checking me out, different types of crystals. And as you can hear in the background, my kid has a happy time. This is summertime. He gets free fall on his game. And here's some more of my candles. This is one of my candles that's my clear candle. And it has like an ambiance type of smell. It smells really good. It's one of my clear, half clear candles. This is my holistic candles that I use to manifest stuff. Anyway, so I'm showing y'all all stuff. Anyway, let me put this up there. This don't have nothing to do anyway. But anyway, thank you so much for signing in and watching me here get live. Anyway, I know I've been watching a lot of things here going on, and I see a lot of people talking about their bad B, and and you know I don't know. I'm 50 years old. I just turned 50, so maybe I come from the era of, well, for us, my generation, I can't speak for everybody in my generation, because some people from my generation do call each other B's and stuff. But for me, and how I grew up, I thought that the term B, BITCH, that is, was a bad word, and that not only it was a bad word, but it was very derogatory toward women. And I know a lot of women have taken on the word to and find it empowering, but for me, that's fighting word. So, let me drink this real quick. So some of us are finding that the word "be" is it gives them great joy to call themselves this, and they find it intriguing, they find it wonderful, and they find bliss with calling themselves these bitches. So, and that's, if that's you, that's cool. But it's just a lot of talk of it, and it's just really strange to me. It's just really strange to me how people take a word like that and find empowerment with it. I guess to each his own. But from my day, we did not call each other bitches and hoes, and it was not bad bitch year. It just never was. If somebody calls you a bitch, usually we'll pull out the knives, the guns, and the fist, and we would get to ruggling on the streets. You call me that, and to this day, for me, the word is definitely very nasty. And if I call somebody that type of word, that usually means I don't like them, or usually means that they suck, or I don't see them in a flavorful way. In fact, it's somewhat negative, right? So, what exactly is a bad bee? So, anyway, let's take a look, see, shall we? And I'm gonna go on to the internet to define and to see what people are calling them, or why people are calling themselves, other than them saying being empowered. Okay, so In this for 2022, what defines that word? And y'all know I like to oh, it's actually a song. Okay. It's they got songs out there. That was a song in 2000 BB uh Ty Dollar Sign. Whatever his I feel really old trying to tell y'all what this is. Okay, so I see a lot of songs and lyrics and things like that. Okay. Okay, so the Urban Dictionary, if you will, says that, and I kind of touched on that a bit. It says that a bad is basically a woman or a female who is confident. She is independent and and strives for herself. She doesn't need anybody, and you would be lucky to have somebody. She can control herself and her feelings. She is also irresistible. Okay. Um. Wow. So that's a bad beat. Okay. Um. So a lot of what is the purpose for this? So I've been watching. I was watching Live Lives. Whatever Lives Live. What's her name? Live Like It Live or Live Lives or Lomi Tone or whatever her name is. She said that she was bad B. She that B, and Jasmine, my Jasmine, like I said, she was that B. So I was just trying to find out exact. Oh, and it's actually a movie, y'all. It's a series that came out in 2022 where people have casual sex and have cornrows and cocktails. Cornrow, the three threes. Cornrows, cocktails, and casual sex. All right, okay. And this chick works at an Afro. So I don't think it's very positive. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't think that what happens to us calling each other beautiful women or beautiful black women if we happen to be black or melanated. What happened to saying that we're gorgeous, we're beautiful, we're embraced, we're strong? So you got to call yourself a B to define yourself in your strength. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I don't. It didn't make me feel empowered. I don't know. I'm old though. Maybe yeah, maybe I shouldn't listen to me. Let me see. All right, let me look at what defines it. Okay, I still was trying to look up what defines. Okay, let's see what the survey says. What defines a okay, give me a second. All right. I was just trying to see because and then Trina, remember back in the day, Trina had the song Who's the Baddest? Okay. So it says bad bees view everything as a resource, even the struggles. Okay, that's not bad. While basic bees lack money, a boyfriend, a husband, or kids, a bad bee gives thanks for every day for the good she has in her life, even it's not like. So why do I have to call myself that in order to define myself, in order to see all the great things or to be thankful? That doesn't sound. It's like an oxymoron to define that and say bad basic bees think about what they don't have. Okay, a basic bee live in their lives on someone else's terms. Okay. And for my term, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of these labels that a lot of folk or labeling themselves is probably different. Like, would you want your daughter at 5 or 6 or 7 to be going around saying she the baddest bee? I don't know about that. I don't think that I wouldn't want my kid to use that type of language about themselves. Um, I'm still trying to find what defines that. Okay, so all I'm getting is pulled up is what defines a versus a basic versus a regular. It's still a bad B at the end of the day, right? Looked it on Urban Dictionary. Okay, right here. So let's look at another one. It says what defines. So it talks about what makes you a bad bee. Okay. So some people, this is like a thread, and it says, what do you think makes you a bad bee? Most of all the facts that I am a males usually make very bad bitches. What the heck is this? I don't know about this. This is weird. Okay, so should I accept that a girl calls me her, you know, or no, you're my, yeah, that's another thing. So, so anyway, a journalist, according to this article, a journalist goes and asks Madonna, how does she feel about being called the B word, right? So Madonna replies, "Bitch is a word they use for women with power. So yeah, I am a B." I mean, I know Madonna been saying that for years, but like I had a friend to call me that, and I kind of let her know, like, don't call me that. Like, I'm not. That's not me. Um. So basically, it comes across like they're saying that every woman is this, and it doesn't make sense to me. Hey, Dr. Mira, how are you doing today, beautiful queen? I'm doing fine. How are you? You get what I'm saying? Walk by faith and not by sight. You feel what I'm saying? You see how you said queen, you didn't say B. You know what I mean? It's just weird. So I'm trying to look up. I'm really trying to find what do they define a bad bee. I'm trying to define how to stop being such a. Now I have more articles. I'm finding more articles on how to stop being right. My kids in the next room, so I don't want to curse. I don't curse in front of my child, my 5 year old, how is he? My 7 year old. Um, I'm still going back to when he was 5, y'all. He growing up. um, okay, here's one. Why are so many women happy to call themselves bees? This is exactly what I'm asking. Feminism. Okay, yes. So we get into that point. The feminism. Yes. So I call myself a feminist. This is one of those tricky slopes that really should be a show and not a debate. I think that I think too many times people debate. I look all across social media, and it's so much debate and not really everybody's trying to prove their point as opposed to explaining why they feel this way or why they feel that way, right? And it's not necessarily wrong or right because it's how you feel and how you personalize yourself, right? And so again, this is kind of where I'm at with it. Okay, so the question, because it sounds like I'm avoiding questions, I'm not. So I would not define myself as a feminist, but I am female. I am female who do care about women's rights or women on how we carry ourselves, not to be objectives or sexualized or the R word or hurt, beat up by the male counterparts or even each other, right? So I do believe in this. So I wouldn't necessarily call myself a feminist. I would more so call myself a person of a woman, a black woman, or melanated or indigenous, whatever y'all want to call me, right? I'm that's a whole nother conversation. So I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm for family, right? I'm more so for the family. I'm more so for I'm Afro-centered. So I'm more so for the family. I'm more so for upliftment of all the children, not just the male children, not just the female children, but all the children. I am for my husband. I am for a husband's rights to have to do whatever he trying to do that's within reason, that's not beating his wife and being responsible. So I have a different upbringing. So that has a lot to do with it. My mother was not a feminist. I did not grow up around, I was not raised with the feminists. I was raised by a strong Black woman who held our family down. She ran the household. She shopped. She had her own career. My father had his own career and job, and they came together and they uplifted me as a child. So so that's how I was raised. So in my marriage, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I take care of the child, and my husband works. And so I have a different tradition, you know what I mean, than what people would call the baddest bee or someone, I don't know, the whole independent woman. That's just not, that's just not necessarily me per se. But I am independent, meaning I can have my own money, my own career, and things like that. In that sense, yes. But I'm also for helping my family in a way. Okay, now let me read. Me personally, I don't like to be called that word. Growing up, it was very degraded. It is to me. For me, B is a female dog. You're right. That's in heat. Exactly. So why do I want to be called that? But to me, it's a woman that can hold her own. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, my daughter's calling me. My watch is ringing too, y'all. So I don't really feel comfortable with that. Okay, I'm sorry, just trying to make sure. Uh so I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that identity. Would be called that. But I mean, do I feel like women have okay. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. My daughter got a gift for me because she went to Vegas. So do I really have a problem with what a woman wants to call themselves? No. I feel like if you want to call yourself the baddest bee and you want to call yourself ooh, then go right ahead. By all means, don't let me stop you because I believe people when they tell me who they are. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying for me, don't call me that. You know what I mean? If we're to get along, don't call me that. Now if we cool, then you want to still remain cool with me, then don't call me that. But if you're an enemy, then that's what's up. Because I feel like the same way about you. If you're an enemy, right? I gotta treat you accordingly, okay? And yes, it's my coffee. Don't judge. So by all means, and y'all, this blur or glur is my lights. So yeah. So I feel like if that's what you want to feel or do, then by all means, who am I to subject you to being called something you don't want to be called? And that's just the whole name. I think that the one thing I don't like about society is they automatically, and it's been like this since the beginning of time, but I think it's gotten worse, that society wants to label you a certain way. And everything is not black and white. Everything's not always black and white. Like what people look like, uh because of people's bloodline, people automatically people put this bloodline on you, they put this label on you, you got to be this, you got to be in this category. They don't understand it's like a pizza, and it's different parts to you. Each part has its own unique taste, right? I don't call any woman in my family that word, and no one better not call me that word. I don't play that. I know that's right. Um, so yeah, I don't want to be called that. And I think that everybody has to, and even on the terms of have I gotten have I gotten I've gotten more flowery since really doing a lot of healing and working on thyself and going into nature. I hate to say that because I sound like a cult, but it's the truth because I'm a healer, right? So when going into extreme nature and doing a lot of sweat lodges and different things like that, and going into going into the spirit, I have really changed on a lot of levels. I've almost became a tree hugger that will set fire to the tree as well. So I have a balance. So I'm not so uh I'm not so loving that I don't see the real, or I don't see someone for who they are, right? I do recognize some people are just not redeemable. I know we get into a whole nother thing. The point is, what I'm trying to share with everybody is that I have changed on a lot of levels. But some certain things remain the same. Like, sometimes I would curse somebody out. I used to curse people out at the back of the head. If they looked at me wrong, I would curse them out. And so I have healed a lot of trauma and a lot of anger and a lot of things. And so I don't necessarily curse people out as quickly or as swiftly as I once did. Sometimes I'll be like, sometimes I tend to ignore people more than curse them out, which is really good for me. My grandmother taught me that a young girl to always present herself as the cream of the crop. So why would you want to be called a degrading word if you call yourself the cream of the crop? And I agree with your grandmother. I'm just kind of, yeah, I don't, okay, to be honest with you, my mother raised me to be a young lady, and I always felt, and this may be so weird, and this might sound very crazy to y'all, okay, but I'm just gonna share it with you anyway. So when I was coming up, I always felt like a woman and a lady were two different things. What do you mean, pray tell, Dr. Amira? Well, this is what I mean. What I mean is that um a lady is someone who sits with their legs crossed, a longer dress, pretty, more dainty, right? I always felt like my mother was very dainty-ish. I always felt like my mother was a lady, and I always felt like when I grew up, I would be a woman. Meaning, meaning I had a little twist to me. Meaning I could, I would have sometimes my skirts be shorter. Sometimes I might wear my hair wilder. Sometimes I might be gothic one day. The next day I might be dressed like a feminine, real feminine like. And then other days, I would, I might spit or something. I don't know. I don't like spitting. That's disgusting. But you understand what I'm saying? I always felt like it was a different. You agree that women, a lady and a woman is two different things. So now in my older years, as I get older, I'm finding myself to be more of a lady. Oh my God. And it really pisses me off. It really upsets me because and also to me, I'm gonna share something with y'all. And this is probably some of y'all feminists are gonna really be really upset with me. I know some of y'all are going to want to burn your bras, set them on fire, throw them outside, and just go crazy and lose your mind and get upset and never talk to me again. I'm okay with that. I don't need no man telling me I do. However, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that when you're in a unique situation and you're raised, okay, so two things that got me to be more feminine. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm just being married to the man that I'm married to, and secondly, having the daughter I've had, and having the mother that I had helped me to really be feminine, really helped me to become a lady because my daughter is very feminine. And I did not know that. And the reason why my daughter was really feminine because she watched my mother, because she has a grandmother. She had two grandmas. My mother, well, actually three, but that's a whole nother conversation. But she had my mother, and she had, well, the mother that raised me, and then she had her father's mother, and those two women are very feminine, are very dainty like. And so now I would say, as a matter of maybe 20 years, 15 to 15 and counting. Let's say that I've become way more feminine because I used to be a tomboy. And what do I mean by a tomboy is that I think the boys' things were funner to play with. Like, playing football, sports and things like that. Sports, boys just had more fun. Am I the only one that felt like that? When I was growing up, it just seemed like boys had more fun. And don't get it twisted, I still jumped double dutch. I still cooked. I still did cooking. I still had fun. I still did feminine things. But the boys just seemed like they had more fun, like baseball, football. You know what I mean? All that was like way more funner than some of the things that we had to do as females. I mean, as women. And I wanted to break all the barriers. Number one. And number two, I'm dropping stuff, y'all. And number two, I don't know. It's just, I think I was a rule breaker. And anything my mother told me not to do, I wanted to do. Hard head, I was a rebel, and I'm still a rebel, and I still don't fit into society norms, right? Certain societies tell you to do this and do that, and if that society tells me to do this, then I'm gonna do the opposite of that. Society tells you to go to Starbucks and drink a lot of Starbucks, and don't get twisted, I love Starbucks, right? But I don't make my own Starbucks. My coffee tastes better than Starbucks, but it's just sometimes I just like to have, Starbucks because I want to have Starbucks. It's one drink at Starbucks I don't know how to. I'm not really good at making just yet, and I have not grasped. But once I get it out, the dragon fruit drinks. I do eat dragon fruit, but I don't know how to make the drink. But that's neither here nor there. I did it all and played football, kickball, yeah, and could track, and I did all it exactly. But that's not really something. That was like a boys thing, walk by faith. They would say this is a boys thing, and we would get teased by that. When I was coming up, I'm 50. They would say, "Oh, that's something boys do. You like to do stuff boys do. Why you a boy?" And my mother was kind of like that, and my mother really wanted me to be a debutante and do all these different things and pledge fraternities. Excuse me, not fraternities, sororities. And she wanted me to do certain things that was very feminine and to, walk around. And now, I'm just now walking around with purses, y'all. I'm just now getting into purses. I'm obsessed with purses. I'm obsessed with them. Oh my God. I'm not going to tell y'all how many purses I got. It's ridiculous. Within the past 3 years, I've obtained more purses than a lot of people that I know that has had purses their whole lives. And I don't even want to talk about it because I am embarrassed. Michael Kors, let me share this with y'all. Y'all know Michael Kors has this thing where program, and you have certain levels you got to go through the more you buy, obviously, right? So I'm on the red carpet level. It's bad. It's really bad. And come next month, I'm gonna stop the person for just maybe once a month. I had 11 siblings and a lot of boys, so we would all climb trees, right, and did it all exactly. I was the only child, so I would climb trees. I would go bike riding. Back in those days, you can go bike riding. You didn't have to worry about people really snatching you. Your mother just told you to be safe, be careful. You know what I mean? Don't go with strangers. And that was kind of the spiel. Everybody was outside. Everybody, their mother. So everybody in the neighborhood knew you. So if they seen you with somebody that you didn't know, they would run them off. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like that when I was coming up. Now you can't go outside. You can't even go outside in front of your front yard without somebody, even in the best of the best neighborhoods, right? So for me, I do find it I just find it to be unique. And I think that, and I don't want to be that person who feels like society has gone to shits, right? But I feel like that. I do. I really feel like that. I feel like it has gone to shits because I feel like the way that society is, I feel like that the way that people just look at themselves in the horror, um, wins. And this is not saying that people can't do the same thing as men do. If they want to sleep with a whole bunch of people just like men do, who am I to tell somebody what to do with their vagina? Right. But I feel like that a lot of women who carry themselves differently nowadays, they get more attention than the ones that work hard at not being out there so much in that way. It's really sad today because I was telling my kids and my grandchildren we will stay outside and play all day till nighttime. Yep, till the street lights come out. Yep, and walk the streets. Didn't worry about nobody grabbing us. Right? I'm telling you, we would. I mean, my parents would be like, "Okay, come back before the lights come on," and I would probably walking back, and then my mother be outside. She'll be standing outside on the porch, and she'll see me walking up. She'll be like, "Okay, did you tell your friend bye?" And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." And I would walk in the house, or if I was gonna stay the night over my friend's house, and I'd be like, and I would just yell up the street, like, "Mama, can I stay over at Angie's house? Can I spend the night?" It was down the street. And she'd be like, "Yes." She'd be like, "What did Angie mama say?" And I'm like, "She said it's okay. She said depends on what you want to do." And you know what I mean? And she'd be like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Good night." She's like, "Oh, you gonna come over here and get your clothes?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then Angie will walk me up the street. "How you doing, Trace?" And then Angie will walk me up the street. I'll get my clothes, and then we'll walk back down the street. My mother's like, "Okay, call me. Yeah, when you get upstairs. Yeah, when you get in the house." I'm like, "I'm in the house." You know what I mean? And that's just how it was. Or I will call. I'm like, "Mama, I'm here. I'm mad." She's like, "Okay." Click. You know what I mean? Nowadays, can't do that. Can't do none of that. Nowadays, everything the opposite. It's everything the opposite now. So, you know what I mean? It's like we used to play like gay. We used to play and then if we were in front of our houses, we could stay on the porch at all hours of the night. You know what I mean? And we'll play hide and go seek. It'll be really, really late. And as long as we was on the porch, and they'll be like, "Okay," and it would be late. It'll be like 12 o'clock at night. We'll still be outside playing on the porch. You know what I mean? Just talking. We're not doing anything. We're not doing things to boys. We're just laughing and talking, listening to music, and just having fun. And then my friend's mother would say, "Hey, y'all, it's time to come in." Everybody's parents pretty much would be like, "All right, y'all." And then they would just tell everybody, like, "Hey, y'all need to go ahead, go in the house." And everybody be like, "Oh yeah, okay, we gotta get up tomorrow," whatever, and everybody go in the house. And then we'll just chill. You know what I mean? Man, it was so fun growing up. It was so fun. I know we totally got off the subject. Oh my god, my childhood was so fun. It was so fun. And I don't know, just thinking back to how it is now, like my son, his playtime is, guess what? Guess where he at right now? He is in there on the game. You know what I mean? And then nowadays, y'all just even taking your children places is dangerous almost. Am I tripping? But you can't even go to the mall. We used to go mall shopping. I used to take my children, my other set of children, my first set of children. We used to go to mall shopping. I would take like $100 and everybody get an outfit. You know what I mean? Everybody get an outfit at the mall, and then we'll go to food court and have some food and just chill, and it would be so fun, and it would be so many things to do. I know my grandchildren go a lot of places, but I'm like, know about that. I have to my plan when we go places. I have to plan it out. Me and my husband have to plan it out. Or if my children call me, I'm like, "Well, who gonna be there? Well, what's gonna go on? What time we going?" And that type of thing, because it's too much going on. That was the good old days, just enjoying life. I'm trying to tell you, good old days, tries. Yeah, good old days walk by. Yep. And so now you have to be careful. You can't, you walk outside to your car, you worried about somebody snatching you up with your grown self. People putting stuff on the tile, people putting stuff on your car, um, and all kinds of stuff. Me and my friends would walk all the way down in town and go to the dollar movie. Yep, we used to do that and spend all day at the downtown shopping. It was just a great time. It sure is. too much going on. It is. And it's just like my son, if I want to go somewhere, he's 7. We have to plan our adventures. You know, we'll go to the library. Now, going to the library, y'all know, like Jasmine said, it's free. But shoot, even with that, you gotta be careful because what time you leave it, you gotta leave early because you know sometimes stay late. And it's not like I'm in a bad neighborhood. I'm not in a bad neighborhood though. You would think, but even in a so-called nice neighborhood, you still gotta be careful. Those are the neighborhoods you gotta worry about. Ain't it? People snatching you up. It's ludicrous. Um, and I don't know. I think I just feel like I'm before my time. I feel like an alien. I feel like an alien in some of these places. I feel like a straight up alien. And I understand why people be at home a lot. I do. I am at home a lot more so than normally wouldn't, like, about 5 years ago, really even 10 years ago, I used to roll around. Now I'm like, what's going on? You got to be watchful everywhere you go now. Yeah, you do. You can't trust nobody. You can't even trust the preacher. You can't. Well, we never did, but that's on the conversation. But you got to watch out everywhere. You got to watch who you talk to. You got to watch what you're doing. You got to watch your kid. You got to put a tracking device on your kid, even if y'all going the same place at the exact same time. I mean, even at Chuck E. Cheese, you take your kid to Chuck E. Cheese, you still got to be on the lookout for them and making sure that they okay. So it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The whole calling yourself a bad B and calling yourself a H and calling yourself a whore, and calling yourself a I don't know. I just this is a different generation, and I don't want to put the new generation down. I don't want to be that person. I don't. I don't. But I do want to tell them. I do want to explain to them what it's like. And I remember, you know, when I guess I was raised differently. When I was, my mother always instilled into me about how important it was to get married and to do certain things when you got that's fireworks, y'all. To do certain things when you got married and not to give a man every essence of your being if you wasn't going to be his wife, because she always called them mark girls. I don't know if y'all mom may have had a conversation about y'all go to the go to put this generation down, but the Bible do say that generations are vanity and lovers of themselves. Yes. Um, yes. And so, she would always tell me how important it was to find a great person and to find somebody to marry, someone who would take care of you and you could take care of them and y'all could love each other and grow old together. And nowadays I just think, and you see a lot of these, and you go to these, these what they call them, old folks home. They used to call them old folks home back in the day. Now they don't necessarily call them that now, nursing homes. But back in the day, you go to the nurse, and even now, y'all go to the nursing homes now. And I'm not talking about the men who lost their wives or the woman, but you'll see a lot of these older women and older men alone. Not because they never got married or because they lost a spouse, but because they never settled down. It's just different. It's just like you see the old man that used to be a player. They used to have this woman, and that woman, and it was all fine and dandy. But when he got older and started growing old, he didn't have anybody to take care of him. He didn't have anybody to love him. He didn't have, and his children was like, shoot, you was running the streets. I don't want to be bothered with you, daddy. You was running streets trying to be a player from the Himalayas, and you wouldn't, we wouldn't take our fathers anymore because they didn't have time for us. And now that they got time, they want us to have time. My father wasn't like that. But my father was always there for me, but that's a whole new conversation. But yeah, I've noticed that. You noticed that, and I think I want to. One thing I want to tell this youth that at some point, don't give don't give everything away to somebody that won't appreciate it. I love marriage is a beautiful thing. When you find a true partner, that is very true, a true partner. After being married for 18 and a half years, in my marriage, these are infidelities. I'm scared today. Oh my God. Dating. Oh Lord. I don't even remember the last time I dated other than my husband. You know what I mean? I don't remember. Dating is overrated. Like, I don't want to date. I don't want to uh I'm a grandmother. You know what I mean? I'm 50 years old. I'm a grandmother. I have a 7-year old. And I have some all my other children are in their 30s. And I have 5 grandchildren. Yeah, I had to count y'all. I have five because I don't know and count 5 grandchildren and count it because I don't know. Somebody's always having a baby. one of my children always having a baby. I'm like, who pregnant now? So it's like it's just different. I mean, I want to be married. I mean, I want to be married. I don't want to be single. And that, I mean, that's not to knock some of you all who are single because, that's something that hopefully you chose to be single, something that you wanted to do because you wanted to be single for whatever reason. But I still say at some point in time, maybe you and Mr. Jones need to talk about making some changes. I think everybody has had that or if you had a grandmother, maybe you had a grandmother who may have been married to your grandfather and your grandfather died or passed on or what have you and moved on or whatever. And grandmother had a Mr. Bobby that Mr. Jones used to come over sometimes, and fix whatever was wrong in grandma's house. You know what I mean? And then you see Mr. Jones the next day leaving, or the pastor at the church, or not necessarily. It was always the deacon. You'll see the deacon at the church leaving and be like, "Oh, how you doing, girl? I ain't see you in a long time. When you come back to church?" Like, when you stop coming over to see my grandmother, I'll go say, you know what I mean? Uh, don't understand this is a new dating thing, meeting people on apps. I'm old school. I just can't do that. I know. Being divorced, I would like to be married again one day. Well, that's good. I don't know. I used to be a matchmaker in a former life, right? Um, uh, my matchmaking. Let's. Oh God, it was it was. I hated it. I hated it because people just wasn't realistic. And when you try to set people up, and in your mind, this is for me as a matchmaker. In your mind, these people need to be together. For whatever reason, I could feel like they on the same look level, or I feel like they will both bring something to the table, for each other. Both of them professionals, both of them have nice jobs, both of them have a career oriented, and both of them have children, and they both have a sarcastic sense of humor, and I think they will balance them out. And then when they meet, they're like, mm-mm. And I would be so angry because I'm like, I took all this time to set this person up, and it just didn't work. Or I feel like people was unrealistic, like a man who had a didn't have a job, didn't have a career, didn't have a hustle, but then he wanted a woman that had a career, hustle, and cooked. No, you got to start from point A. Yeah, it strikes me too. I was young when I was married right out of college. I do miss it. Yeah, yeah, I've gotten married. Let's see. I got married. My first marriage, I married when I was 19. I think I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 when I got married first time. I'm just gonna shake my head and continue on. Me too. Um, I got married young too. I'll be praying for the both of us to find that one. Yes, I'm telling y'all that. Yeah, this nowadays, it's kind of like you have to um I think meeting people. I think it's good to meet people maybe at the coffee shop, like a restaurant. I don't think a club is a good. I've never thought, even back in the day to now, it's not a good place. People, not a good place to meet somebody at the club. I don't think that, and I don't think most of my people of my generation really go out to club like that to be searching for somebody. I'm praying for the both of us as well. Yes, ma'am. So I think that a good place would be, I think like unique places, like over to maybe a friend, if you have a friend and you have like a function going on, I think that's a good place to meet people. I think people setting you up is not a bad thing, or if for it to organically happen. Maybe you're there and this other person's there and they're single and they're like, girl, Bobby's single. And you like, and you single, Bobby like you or whatever. So, excuse me. I think that's good, like dinner, out to dinner, places like that, a shopping, going shopping. But most of us are shopping online now. Anyway, at least I shop online. I shop online. I have men approaching me as the time. I mean, I'm sorry, all the time. But I'm at the grocery store. But I'm in the grocery store, or when I'm out and about. I have trust issues. Yeah, I'm a Taurus too. I'm very loyal, but when you do me bad, I am done. I'm reading like Jasmine, y'all. You know what it is? Because I need my glasses on. And the glasses I have are only for if it's far away. But if it's close up, but I need glasses for small reading too. This print is very small. So yeah. Yeah, you're traditional. Yes, I understand. So I think that well, at some point in time, you're gonna have to trust somebody. You don't have to trust people right away. They have to earn your trust, and you have to earn their trust, what have you. But just take your time. But if men are trying to still talk to you, it's no sense. It's not a bad thing to go out on a date with them, meeting them in a place, and watching your drink and not leaving your drink on, you know what I mean, leaving your drink, what do you call that, unattended, right? And just making sure that you go out in a group setting, go out with your homegirls and other people or family, and be like, okay, well, we just gonna go and go on a date, go on a group date. You can do group dates now, and then when you feel comfortable, then just go from there, and then just take time and talk to them on the phone and get to know them. It's okay to do that. I mean, a phone conversation not gonna hurt. I meet men out as well. If they approach me in the wrong way, I'm quickly moving on. Of course, you don't want to be approached like, "Hey, baby, what's up?" You know what I mean? Um, the last time, I mean, I don't know, y'all. It's so weird. I think the last time a man tried to talk to me when I was coming out of my healing center, when I was coming out of my business, he was coming out the barbershop, and because a barbershop is right down is on the first floor and I'm on the second floor. My healing center's on the second floor. And he there's on the first floor. And I was coming out and I was like, oh, you scared? You startled me. I didn't see you there. He's like, oh, no problem, ma'am. And he opened my door for me. He said something like, what did he say? He was a young man too. Y'all know I'm older. I'm 50. He probably had to be in his 20s, okay? And he said, yeah, well, I wish I was going where you was going or something. I don't know. He said something like that. I just laughed. I was like, boy, you younger than my children. You younger than my younger children. You older than my younger child, but you younger than my older children, okay? You know, I look at him and I was like, oh, I'm married. And I smiled. And I was like, I started to say, you know how old I am? I was 49 at the time. It was right before I turned 50. So I don't know. I don't really have a lot of men approaching me, so called. But I don't really, I be like this, you know what I mean? I don't really be out there like that. And when I do go places, I don't really have, because I got the little boy with me, and he think he my daddy. The little 7-year-old think he my daddy. He be opening my door, my car door. My little 7-year-old be opening my car door and holding my hand, and men don't, they don't be talking to me like that because he be looking at them like what, you know what I'm saying? So, so no, I don't really get that many. I don't really, my little armor, that little 7-year-old. So I don't really get it like that. But it's kind of it's still kind of weird though. I mean, I know I'm married and everything. I still got it, but it's still different. I love a gentleman. I would love to find a good God fearing man who loves to travel. Girl, they out there. I just want a fun, enjoy life. I don't have time for games. Right. I do have partners, male associates or people or males got brothers that I grew up with that or single or they're about to divorce. I have some people that I know. Do I talk to them all the time? No, because I'm married. You know what I mean? So I don't be talking like, well, just like check them like, hey, what's up, brother? You okay? You doing good or whatever? Or if I knew they wife or whatever. Uh, yeah, he's a good husband. He's a good husband. But he already got that little boy. He got that little our little son trained. Where shoot, if somebody if some men be looking at me, my son be looking at me like, nope, he's not having it. I'm trying to tell you, he's the hater. My son is the hater, and I think my husband raised him to be a hater. Is raising him to be a hater. No, I don't want to talk to nobody else. I'm just making a point that no, I don't really get him like that. And I think the only reason why I think that guy tried to talk to me because I didn't have my son with me that day. Um, but then and he's 7, by the way, just if I didn't tell you that. But so yeah, I know I have male I don't want to call it I would call them more so my brothers, not my blood brother, not my blood brothers. My son is like that, and he's 24. Yes, he's 24, but I'm talking about my son is 7. 7. You know what I'm saying? 7. Okay. And then my older sons, they in their 30s. They really not gonna let nobody try to talk to me. That's not happening. Even if I was single, they wouldn't let nobody try to talk to me. Um, but I think that I believe that I think it's a lot of God fearing men out here that I know personally. They're single and ready to mingle. That just trying to find them good women. And I'm like, it's a lot of great. I'm the same thing I'm telling you all. The same thing I tell them. I'm like, it's a lot of great women out here, and 2 of them I tried to set up. The one of them, he needs some work before he started before he even think about going out there like that. But the one that could probably be a good husband for somebody, he's I tried to set him up with one of my friends, and I vowed to not set him up with no more. And it wasn't him, it was her. I know it was her because she was just weird. She just was acting weird, and he was just like, he told me, he's like, I don't think it's gonna be a love connection. He called her on the phone. I don't know what she said to him, but whatever it was she said to him, he was like not finna talk to her. He was done. So I'm not setting up any more people. I am my books are closed for arrangements. you know, I'm not doing it. Mm-mm. So I find my matchmaking services are done, and that's why I got out of that business to begin with, because people are just not realistic. And every time you set somebody up, because it really angers me, I get really angry. I'm like, why don't you like that person? Why don't y'all like each other? I feel like you should be together. Why aren't y'all together? Y'all both on the same look kill. Y'all both look similar. Both of y'all have decent jobs, and you all both need each other. Both of y'all have church energy. I've because I know a lot of my associates or friends, girlfriends, female friends, whatever you want to call them, homegirls, or church, have church energy. They dress like church, and they're younger than me. And they all dress like church ladies. I don't dress like a church lady. See, I'm not. I don't necessarily dress like a church lady. Sometimes I'm gothic. Sometimes I dress. I mean, I just got different looks. Sometimes I get in my. I'm ready to go out to dinner. You gonna take me out to dinner? I'm sexy grandmother mode or sexy mama mode, and I don't know. I just have different outfits of choices. Okay, and my purchases gotta match. You know. So I feel like a lot of them are learned, and I have a lot of brothers that I know that are single. Some of them are Muslim, some of them are Christian, some of them are Buddhist. Just a lot of different brothers that I know, and I know a lot of brothers because I used to be in the movement. So I know a lot of brothers on Facebook, and they be like, "Ah, you still got any friends?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm not setting y'all up with nobody. Don't ask me to set y'all," because people be wanting me to set them up. People are like, "Nope," because when I do that, they'll be like, "No, this and this and that." I'm like, y'all too short, y'all too selective, and y'all got too many lists, and y'all don't be realistic about what y'all want. Like a person will say, "I want a traditional man," or "I want a traditional woman." You set them up with a traditional woman, excuse me, or you set them up with a traditional man, and they're like mad because that person is actually traditional. And I think a lot of times people don't know what they want. They say that they want this, and then when they get it, they don't know how to treat that. So that's why I said, why should I keep setting people up for these relationships or these dates, and then they go out and they don't like each other? So I'm not doing it no more. I promise. I promise. And I have cousins. Since I found my biological family, I have a lot of cousins that are single. I have a lot of cousins that have people, but I have cousins that are single. And I just got tired. And you set people up, and people be saying, "Oh, I want this and I want that," and then when you get that, they don't know how to respond, or they'll be like, "Well, I just, I want to be married." They'll say once. Sometimes people say they want to be married, and then I set them up with somebody that actually want to be married. They be like, "Oh, he too clingy. I need my space." I'm like, "What, girl? You might get out of my face. You just said you like a man up under you, and then you set them up with somebody that is just what they asked for, and then they get upset." I'm like, "Look, I ain't got time for this." And y'all ever seen that show, Married at First Sight? They setting them people up. I didn't seen it really work. I didn't seen it work on some terms, but I think that now, I think at one point, that they took the experiment more seriously than they do now. Now they just setting them up just so they can get a bum. It used to be like one or two to three. It used to be like two people that should not have been together. Everybody else worked out. They don't even assist them anymore. And now they just setting it up for ratings just to set them up. And I think to myself, I say, could I have ever gotten set up like that? No, I could. You could not set me up, and I go to the altar and meet my husband. Absolutely not. I could not go on no dating show. I would not be good at going on no dating show. How long have I been married? My anniversary actually coming up. I don't know. I've been married for some years. Me and my husband, we dated for a long. No, we dated short. No, I think we really took our time on dating. We dated, then we moved in, and then we got married. So we had lived together longer than we had been married. So I think we're probably at, I want to say, 4 years. Um, Can you imagine Olivia go? Yes, that would be a great show. If Olivia could go on the show, I think that would be a great show. My anniversary is actually coming up July the 18th. So my anniversary will be celebrating our anniversary. But yeah, I think it'll be a good show. I think Olivia should go on a show like I think she should go on a dating show. I think that'd be great. I would watch it. Y'all wouldn't watch it? I would watch her going on a dating show. I think that'd be really cool. And maybe she could pay some of her child support off. I think that'll be good TV. I think that the public will clown her so bad. Oh my god! But I'm not saying she should go on TV just to be clowned. I think she should go on a dating show just so she can really be so she can really get broken down like honestly, like so for a dating expert to really work with her, I would really tell her the truth. And I wouldn't even be nasty with her, but I would really tell her the truth about herself. I would tell her whole family about themselves. In such of a way so they can work through it as a coach, as a coach, as an expert coach. I would really have her to do some really good homework. Now, whether she listen or not, that's on her. But I would definitely give her the tools. But I would like to work on that aspect of the dating aspect is for coaching. Coaching. I do have a life coaching and coaching certification to help people in their endeavors. Yeah, girl, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Walk by faith. Yeah, she could really see that she has issues. Yes, I really believe. Now, whether or not she gonna work on it, she probably not gonna work on them, but at least she would be aware of them. She might work on one or two of them and be like, after she worked and found out how hard it was to really work on herself, then I think she'll try to work on one thing and the rest she'll be like, oh, I'm fine. And that's just when she does that whole I'm the baddest I'm the baddest bee and this and that. That's just like a smoke screen. That's just to make herself feel better because deep down inside she knows she's not. She knows that she is not where she needs to be in life and she knows she has no goals or aim. I mean, she has things that she really want to do, but to be honest with you, I don't think she knows who she really is. And I think that she's like her biggest saboteur. She's like the biggest saboteur in her life, and she really don't have that in her family where people are honest with her. She doesn't have a she doesn't have a garden of women around her who's going to be really honest with her. And they kind of passed the book. And she got more honesty in school, which was very hard for her to really deal with. And it's understandable, like, who wants to hear that they're not doing anything with their life? Like, that's like a hard pill to swallow. If you and then in society, in today's society, you don't have to do much. You know what I'm saying? You really all you gotta do is turn on the camera and go, I'm here. I'm the baddest bee. I can do this. I can, all you gotta do is if you could just do that. But actually, you actually back when you have to really work to be successful. But nowadays, all you gotta do is turn on the camera. Society TV and the internet and all these different things have ruined a lot of people. It's helped a lot of people to become greater, and at the same time, it's helped to make people to believe a falsehood about themselves, a false image, in a false self. You know what I mean? It forces people getting on the internet, forcing people not to really do shadow work on themselves. True facts. I agree that that she sabotages herself. Yes, the lies that come out of her mouth is, yep, utterly ridiculous. Yeah. And she's under a falsehood, and that's the problem. And but one thing that her and Jasmine trauma bond with each other because both of them have a lot in common on terms of their families lying to them. They've all have had both of them are delusional, both her and Jasmine have had families that just lied to them, because it's kind of like in school. Back in the school, how you have a child that is not on the same level as the rest of the children, and because if you're a teacher that really don't care, you will go ahead and pass them on, and as opposed to tutoring them or getting them other services that can help them with their disabilities in class. If they're not catching on, then they'll just rather pass them up because they didn't want their self-esteem to be messed up, or they didn't really care enough to do any of that. And so that's what happened with the both of them. So their families, how you doing, Mink? Basically their families passed on the buck, as opposed to really trying to help them to grow and to be productive adults, or to help them to be productive teenagers, right? And so the same thing that the same thing that the schools do is what their circle of family did for all of them. I truly believe that beyond delusion, I believe that she believed herself in her own lies, because she got those subscribers filling her head with a lot of mess. Well, I think she knows deep down inside that she's not accomplishing anything. But the problem is that it's not really her subscribers, because with the subscribers, they're gonna laugh at her at the beginning. To be honest with you, what they're gonna do is gonna laugh at her anyway eventually, and they just having her to hype herself up just so they can laugh. Like even her, they don't. A lot of people don't believe that she probably got like maybe one or two people, 5 at the most, who really believe that she's doing great. The rest of them she's just for entertainment. Like how we'd be laughing at her, they do too. She's just really for entertainment, because they know that she's not really about that life of trying to build up. And then a lot of them are suffering from the same thing that she's suffering from, which is delusion. And yeah, they are trolling her. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you so much, Trice, for the word. But yeah, she's definitely getting trolled. And but why not? She's the biggest troll. So I mean, you attract who you are. Think about a lot of times people that follow certain people. You see a line of people, like people who have like careers and goal oriented. Certain people who are goal oriented are going to follow other people that are goal oriented, right? When you have somebody that, even as a mom, it's certain moms, it's not that you look up to a certain mom, but y'all kind of on the page of, if you go to someone's social media and you see them taking pictures with their children, and they doing activities with their children, and they're selling a product, or they're business minded, or they have a husband, or they're dating, it looks exciting, they're traveling. You tend to follow people that are kind of on the same page that you are on, or certain things within them that you find appealing. You know what I mean? So you'll click that like, and you'll follow, like, this is really cool. I like the cars that he's driving. I like the way her hairstyles are, or I like her purses. You know what I mean? And so a lot of her followers like to see her fail. You know what I'm saying? For real. They like to see her fail, and they'll give her money just so they can give her content to see how she's going to move in the situation. It's kind of like the whole mouse. You know how the mouse the mouse is in the trap, and the mouse kind of goes this way, goes that way when he's going in a maze, a mouse maze, in the maze. And he'll go left, he'll go right, and then they'll put cheese right here just to see how he's going to react, and then they take notes of that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. It's like when you're going to wake up. You lost your husband and your kids. After all you lost, she refuses to humble herself. Girl, we talking about everything, Mink. We talking about Olivia right now, though. But we were talking originally. We was talking about bad bitch, and then we start getting on a whole nother topic. But You think so when I was reading the comments that you can tell that how beautiful she is when they wish that they can look like her. Yeah, I think that too. That is another good point, Walk. The other good point is that they are that a lot of them have self-hatred. You know, a lot of them do have self hatred because I mean, light skin is next to kin. You know what I mean? What they say, the imagery of light skin is just because something is looks light is right. You know what I mean? Y'all know the saying. You know, when it's light, it's right. You know what I mean? Or when it's white, it's right. You know, wait, all knowing. You know, and not true. Just because you light skin, it doesn't make a pretty person. You can be whatever flavor, but a lot of times, if y'all notice, let's look at life. Let's look at the most unattractive guy in the room, right? For me, when I was growing up, I didn't always go for the most attractive guy in the room. I always liked the guy in the room that was nice. The guy in the room that was well dressed, that was nice, that was funny, that liked to have a good time, that was fun, you know, because I like to laugh, you know. And so that's where a lot of, you know, so Olivia is not even the most attractive person in the room. You know, she's not really pretty. It's not about her looks, it's about what's on the inside. What comes out is not confidence. What comes out is low self-esteem, right? I see her as having very low self-esteem and self-sabotage, but she didn't want those children though. I mean, when Gerard was there, she didn't want those children. Now we're not gonna act like when Gerard was there that she was all about the children, because when has she ever been about the children? She hasn't been about those children, and she's very bitter. Walk, she's very bitter. She's very bitter. Oh, Olivia. What do they call her? Lives life. Just because your marriage, just because your marriage and it don't give you the right to hate on other people's marriage and relationship. Olivia down everybody's marriage and relationship because hers did not work out. Her own fault. Right. I don't think she's attractive. No, I don't think she is either. I ain't lying. She has to put on makeup in order to make herself look. How you doing, Nee? Nee? No, she never was about those children. You said kids, I said children. I'm gonna make my own words. So even when she was married, no, she wasn't about being in a relationship, let alone a marriage. Because it takes a lot of work to be married. To be married. I mean, especially if you come into the table with poison. So if you come into the table with poison and you're not working through poison, then you're going to keep poisonous. You're going to be very poisonous and you're going to poison everybody around you. And just think about it. You know, her mama comes off poisonous. I'm not going to talk about her sister because I think her sister's like the better. I'm not saying sister's all that either, but I'm saying I think her sister's the better one out the bunch between her and her mother. But you got to ask yourself, why is it only one man around? See, I always look at people. If you only got a one set of one sex of people, I still think that that's strange to me. So for what do I mean by that? If you are a man and all you have around you is men, where the women at, right? Or if you're a man and you only have a set of women around you, where's the men at? You know what I mean? So I have to question that. I always feel like people should have a balance in their life. You should have a balance of sex because you need the woman around you for the sense of femininity, energy, and you need the man around you for the sense of masculine energy. You know what I mean? So I do believe in that. And you have to question people who only has a certain sex with them. No, she never was about those children, even when she was married. That is absolutely true. Hey, Nene. So, it's just something about that, and you have to wonder, like, why And then the men that come around, they don't stay around long. See, they'll get with Olivia, they'll kick it with her for like a little minute, and then once they get what they need, then they out. The same with Gerard. Gerard got what he needed, he was out. And so you have to wonder it. So it's not just about who she chooses to be with. That's a big part of it, but it's also something within her that, and then everybody that get with her, they always leave her and bounce and do a come up. You ever notice that? Like if you're a guy, if you're a woman, and everybody, or you're a guy, whatever. You just a person. We all know somebody that every time they get with somebody, that person that they was with originally go on a come up. They always going on a come up. I have to question people that every time somebody get with, and you go backwards. See, the people that she get with will go on a come up. They'll get somebody better than her, or they'll want better with themselves. They want better lifestyle. And then, she studied go backward. So you got to look at that. She never honored her marriage, and she only got married to Gerard just to keep the other woman from having him. Yeah, and she wanted control. She wanted control, and she wanted, and that's not. I'm not saying in no way she did love that she didn't care about Gerard. I believe she cared about him. I believe she loves her children, but the issue is that she doesn't value. She doesn't really know how can somebody have a successful marriage or have somewhat of a successful marriage if they have never been around successful people who've been in marriage. Like, you know what I mean? If they don't have examples. She didn't really have an example. Her mother wasn't really married, or if she was married, it wasn't for a long period of time, right? Her mama is like a nomad. Her mama goes from this house to that house to this house to that house. I just think about, and I want to use my family for an example because I'm not gonna use for my family, but just think about most people. And think about yourself. Think about how you have stayed, how long you've stayed in your house or your apartment. Think about that, and think about how long you've been there. And it's nothing wrong with traveling. Traveling is great. I just think that it's a difference between being homeless. If she's the way she moving, she might as well go ahead and get a RV. I think she would be better off in just getting an RV and just traveling around the world. That would make more sense. She doing that anyway. 3 kids and out of wedlock together for 8 years, and then when she finally get married, when he finally married her, she cheated in a 3-month marriage. Crazy. Well, yeah. I mean, they was both cheating the whole time. I mean, because the thing was, he wasn't really happy. He didn't really want her either. And it's not saying he didn't care about her, but they probably tried. To me, it just felt like at times when she was trying to be with him, he wasn't trying to really be with her. When he was trying to be with her, she wasn't trying to be with him. It's just like they was both missing the boat. Like 1 minute he wanted to be with her strongly, the next minute not so much, because then she'll do something, because she'll be waiting on him to get it together. Then he'll start doing something. And it was just always, they was never on the same page. And the reason why they wasn't never on the same page was because they were just supposed to get together and make those children, and that was it. See, sometimes people in your life just should come into your life to just do whatever their purpose is, and sometimes you just need to allow them to do their purpose and let them go on about their way. And that's probably what should have happened. Once she had that last child, she should have kept it moving, because in marrying him, because sometimes when you get married, stakes change. What do I mean by that? When you start having to deal with, child support is different when a person is single versus child support and y'all were married, right? And not just, and then like the laws are differently. The laws treat the children and the spouses differently, because once you are married to that person, And when something goes goes differently, or something goes on within that household, the courts are easily, this is just my opinion, courts are easily to take the children away to the other parent when y'all have been married during a divorce versus you all are being single. So part of, a lot of people feel like that her fate with her children was sealed once they got a divorce. But once she got married, it backfired on her, because instead of it being her controlling him, he was able to get those children a lot quicker once they got married, to be honest with you. Because the courts tend to treat the families differently when they are coming out of a marriage versus coming out of a relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's a legal binding contract. That's another story. But he always provided for them. He followed Olivia over the nation. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. But the question is, was it really him being in love, or was it for the children, or was it because he was hooked on light skinned? Because she would do certain things that other type of women that he may have been accustomed to wouldn't do. So that lies in the question. And so you kind of have to look at things on a certain level, and you have to kind of question, were they really in love for real? You know, or was it about control? Because to me as well, he comes off to me as well that he didn't really want about her to be with anybody either. Let's be real. Because sometimes people get married because they don't want you to go with somebody else, even knowing when they're getting ready to get married. Even though that just because a person gets married doesn't mean that they necessarily want to be with you. Sometimes people get married because of convenience, having indoor blase, indoor, you know what I'm talking about, bed warming, right? And being able to have a binding contract to say that we're married. So sometimes people get married for the wrong reasons. In their particular case, they got married for the wrong reasons, in my humble opinion. They did not get married for the typical reasons of wanting to be married because we're in love. Most people get married because they're like, I'm in love with you, you in love with me, let's make it official. Think about it. Look at his face. I know there's fireworks going off. They having fun out there. Because it's gonna stop about 12 o'clock, and then they'll start back tomorrow. So a lot of times they will people get married because of the thing of, and then also because of society. And she got married despite that woman. He got married because he wanted to be in my humble opinion, he wanted to be in the home, and he knew that after going through what they went through, he had to come correct, in order to keep her and to be in his children's lives. And they cared about each other. Well, I'm talking about love. Were they in love? Who knows? It didn't come off to me as love on either parties. It did not. Now, does he love his fiance? I think he loves her. I think he cares for her. But I think a part of him in marrying her is not just about him loving her, but he wants to have a stable home that he couldn't have with his first wife. So with her, because she has shown him that she can provide a great family environment for him and his children. So it's also, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, but he also has a certain lines of obligation. He had an obligation with Olivia because these were his children, but he has a line of obligation with his fiance, because she provided a safer environment for his children. She provided love for him, and she helped and she saved him from that relationship with Olivia. And she was there with him through thick and thin, and she worked with him, and she stayed with him despite his crazy baby mama, right? So there's a certain level of obligation. It is. Now, I think that we have to be careful when we get married to somebody and when we're getting into a relationship. We have to understand what point of an obligation is, because certain obligation can be a good thing, and obligation can be a bad thing. What do you think of the young man from Chicago? What man? You talking about the young man that shot that his mother was getting beat on by that knockout guy. What he calls himself, his family call him knockout. Um if you're talking about that, my opinion on that is I always have a different way of looking at things. I don't just look at things one sided. Nisha is the better woman than me because I couldn't deal with Olivia Nicole Johnson. I feel you on that. Okay, so my opinion on the Chicago, if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, let me answer it best way. I don't think of it as a a one-folded way. I always look at things in different ways. For me, uh, I have no idea why he was punching on her like that. That was crazy within itself. To whether she was a female or male, that was crazy within itself. And I think a lot of times people just want to be on social media, and they always want to be known and want to be be big and bad, and all this other type of stuff. I think a lot of times people do that, and everybody does things for clout. It seems like now here on social media. And because of that, unfortunately, his actions caught him, caused his demise. Um, do I believe that, and unfortunately, some children lost a father. Um, I believe it was crazy. I believe, unfortunately, I hate to see a black young man die. To be passed to die in unfortunate circumstances. But what about that young man that had to shoot him, had to protect his mother? He will be traumatized for life because he had to shoot for his mother and protect him. And unfortunately, the person died by his hand, so he has to live with that for the rest of his life. And their life is probably not in good standing because they're in Chicago, and because his that Knockout King's family, whatever his name is, I don't remember his name, but his family looks like a hot ghetto mess. And when you go to a funeral like that, and I've been to certain funerals like that where I had to leave because it was too much for me, and I'm not get ready to work under those circumstances of the hood ghetto in that fashion and that way. I wasn't raised like that. And that's not saying I'm not saying everything about the ghetto that's horrible, because there's a lot of great things that came out of the ghetto. However, I am bougie. I am. I'm sorry. I am. Not apologize. But it's certain things that in certain crowds and people that I choose not to be around at my 50-year-old age. And unfortunately, with those folks, I would not be around. And if I were them, I would leave Chicago. I would get out and not tell nobody where I'm at. So uh I think that unfortunately he shouldn't have hit that woman like that. I have no idea why he hit her like that in the first place. And at the same time, I feel like as a female, I mean, I don't think we should have to argue with men. And again, I'm not a feminist. I know a lot of times y'all will say I'm not getting ready to argue no man, and I'll do pop off sometimes. Now, sometimes if somebody make me mad, I will say something. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Taurus, and I will speak my piece. However, when you recognize, my mother always told me, you don't have to argue with crazy. It's not about me being a punk. It's not about me being soft. But sometimes I'm just not going to argue with crazy. I'm just not going to argue with crazy. For what? Some people are crazy, mentally disturbed, and need emotional and spiritual and psychological help. And sometimes when you're not in a position to give a person that, me as a healer, I'm not ready to argue with you. Sometimes, like even online, sometimes I would just block and delete because I'm not ready to argue with you about my opinion or how I feel. And some things are just not worth my life. And I'm not getting ready to lose my life arguing with no idiot. I'm sorry. You can't walk around putting your hands on people because you might just get your hands put on the wrong person and lose your life. And it is very true. Like, so I'm not getting ready to sit up there. If my son was in there acting a fool, of course, and vice versa. If we all think about that, we think about that and we be like, but dang, if that was my family member, how would I feel? I would feel like JoJo shouldn't have been in there tripping. Right. But I mean, you're going to feel sad. Of course, you're going to be angry. You're going to be angry. You're going to be angry at that person, you know, for taking your child's life because that's still your child. You're going to be angry at your child for acting the damn fool. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be angry. And so what do you do? Will be angry. And so what we have to teach our children is to keep their hands to their damn selves, to stop. My son taking jujitsu. And one of the things that they teach them in jiu-jitsu is to keep their hands to themselves and to avoid all fights if possible. They could be the best jitsu person that can take somebody down with one finger. They could take their feet and kick around and kick them and knock a person down and knock a gun out of hand, what have you. The whole point is the first line of defense is to walk away and to don't argue with crazy. That's what sometimes I tell my son. Sometimes I tell my son, you can, even when he had just, I remember one time this little boy grabbed the ball from him. And it's not that I'm teaching my son to be a punk, but I'm just looking at my son like, hey, sometimes I taught my son, the instructor was like, get that ball back to my son. He told the guy to get a little ball back to my son. My son was ready to start fighting over that ball, right? Because he a Capricorn, he not having it, right? So I told my son in the car, and I was like, I understand. I said, what you did was all right. I'm not mad at you for defending yourself. I said, but sometimes in life, you're going to learn when to walk away. When not, some things are just not worth you saying anything. Good night, Walk by Faith. Good night. I'll talk to you later. No problem. Some things are just not you fighting over. Some things are just not you arguing about. Sometimes you have to learn to walk away. You have to choose your battles. That's exactly what I told myself. Sometimes you have to choose your battles, and sometimes you have to understand a weapon of choice. Uh, who wrote that book? Uh, Gordon Park. Do I want to say Gordon? Oh my God, I got the book downstairs, y'all. Uh, I want to say Garden Park. I'm getting ready to Google it. Give me a second here. I want to make sure I'm quoting the same person. I'm quoting the right person. Okay, give me a second here. Because it's gonna drive me crazy. I hate when I quote somebody. It's Garden Parks. I said Parks Garden. Did I say it right? Okay. So anyway, he wrote this book called The Weapon of Choice. Y'all should really check that out. And people need to understand exactly what a weapon of choice is, right? Everything can be a weapon. This glass that I'm drinking is a weapon. This lighter that I'm lighting this sage with is a weapon. The sage is a weapon, right? This pen right here that I'm using is a weapon. My mouth is a weapon. And when you understand your feet are a weapon, your outfit, your language, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you walk, are all a weapon. are weapons. When you understand and learn what your weapons are, your weapons of choice are, then you in life will be better off to maneuver. And a weapons of choice can be anything on down to uh, having the right type of job, being able to defend yourself when someone is approaching you in the wrong way. Um, it could be when you're dating, it could be when in your marriage, it could be in any form of life there is, right? And so you have to understand what exactly is yours, right? So when you understand what exactly yours is, then you're able to maneuver. And so I was basically telling my son how to maneuver, that he has to maneuver a certain type of way, that you know that was fine for him to stand up for himself, but he doesn't always have to. Sometimes, me and daddy there. Sometimes me and daddy are there to defend him, and he don't have to say anything, and we can say it for him. Or sometimes it's just better to walk away because you don't know what the other person weapon of choice is. Because everybody else is like, you have a weapon of choice, everybody else does too. And sometimes arguing with a fool never solves anything. Right? So that's why sometimes the first self-defense is to walk away. See, even sometimes when you even know you can beat somebody, and when you can even beat somebody with your lips, like you can crush somebody on down, like you bum, you don't have nothing, you raggedy, you suck, you're nothing in life and whatever. You can really go in on somebody and really call their card, especially if you know stuff about them, if you know their life, you can really break somebody down. I've been in so many situations where I knew something about a female and I could have really gone there and really hurt her and cut her up into a gazillion pieces. But I chose not to say anything. I chose to walk away because it just wasn't worth that. It wasn't worth me. And it wasn't about, we weren't going to fight. We weren't even in a position of fighting, right? We were just exchanging, we were doing an exchange of words, of hostile words, right? And I just was like, I don't have anything to say. So I started talking to her for years. Because if I would have said what I said to her, that would have really broke and busted her down a notch. But what would I've gotten out of that? I had to look at me and go, okay, well, after I break her down, then what? Am I getting any fulfillment by that? Am I going, ha ha ha, I got one over on you because you stupid, you were dumb, you know what I mean? No, because it wouldn't help me feel any better. It wasn't making my pockets fatter. I just would have got her, and then she would have been feeling lower than low. She would have, probably hurt, and it would have destroyed her a memory that she had, and it would have destroyed probably her life if I would have said what I said to her, and it just wasn't worth it. You know, it's just sometimes it's just not worth busting a person down all the time. We don't always have to respond every time someone says something to us. Sometimes it's best to block, and that's what's wonderful about social media. Just like social media has a a record points, it also has a block and delete. You can also block and delete somebody. You don't always have to respond. Sometimes the best response is to block and delete. Sometimes somebody have write a whole paragraph. I've read paragraphs, right? We all have at some point or wrote a sentence or said something smart, right? But at the end of the day, sometimes when people respond back and it sounds ignorant, sometimes it's like block and delete. I don't have to read all that. I'm not gonna look at all that. You know what I mean? I don't have anything to say. You said, you can't change or move me on my opinion. Sometimes discussions are great. I like to have discussions, but it's a difference between having a discussion versus someone trying to debate on me about how I feel about a subject. It's exchange of ideas. That's what we've been doing in this room. We've been doing exchange of ideas. You're like, well, what do you think about this? I'm like, oh, I think that, but let me tell you this. Let me add to this, right? You know what I mean? But then for me to be debating somebody about my opinion, I'm not going to debate my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. So that's what I think about that. Why argue with a fool? Why argue with a fool? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just worth, you know, leaving. It's not that serious. But anyway, thank you so much, y'all, for joining in today. I said I was gonna come in here and kick the bobo with you, as they would say back in the day, kick the bobo with you. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna log off of here. Have a blessed night. Thank you.